You've probably noticed something familiar and a bit strange. The same brands appear everywhere. Products are made across multiple countries, supply chains stretch across the world, and entire industries seem dominated by a small number of large companies. This didn't happen overnight. Economies opened up, trade expanded, industries were privatized, production moved across borders. Governments stepped back and allowed markets to operate more freely. The expectation was clear. More open markets would mean more competition, more choice, and more efficiency. But when you look at how the global economy functions today, something doesn't quite match that expectation. Instead of many small competing players, we see a small number of large companies dominating industries. Instead of fragmented markets, we see tightly connected global networks. And instead of decentralization, we see increasing concentration. So the question becomes, if markets were expanded to increase competition, why did they produce more structure instead? In the previous episode, we introduced policy frameworks, not as economic systems themselves, but as ways governments and institutions try to manage and shape economic activity over time. Keynesianism focused on stabilizing the economy through intervention. Over time, that reduced volatility, but also created dependency. Neoliberalism emerges as a response to that environment. Instead of managing the economy through continuous intervention, the focus shifts toward expanding markets, reducing direct control, and allowing competition to play a larger role. But in TNBC, we separate ideology, systems, and governance. Ideology defines what should happen. The system describes how economic activity actually behaves, and governance is how rules are applied to manage that system. Policy frameworks like neoliberalism sit in between. They translate ideas about how the system works into how it should be managed. So the focus here is not what neoliberalism promises, but how it shapes the system in practice. In theory, neoliberalism reduces the role of the state and increases the role of markets. Prices coordinate activity, competition drives efficiency, and private actors make decisions. The assumption is straightforward. Fewer constraints lead to better outcomes. And initially, that often works, but only up to a point, because economic activity does not operate in isolation. To understand what happens next, it helps to step back and look at the broader structure in which the economy operates. Before we continue, if you don't want to miss future episodes and want to join the community exploring these ideas, please like and subscribe. Economic activity sits at the center of a wider environment shaped by political institutions, societal behavior, and technological infrastructure. These elements interact continuously and shape outcomes over time. So when markets expand and barriers are reduced, the effects don't stay local. They spread across industries, countries, and entire networks. So what organizes the economy instead? Instead of decentralization, scale becomes dominant. A small number of companies control large parts of global supply chains. Production concentrates in specific regions. Financial flows move through a limited number of institutions. Think about smartphones. Components come from dozens of countries, but key technologies, platforms, and final assembly often depend on a small number of dominant companies and regions. So while markets are technically more open, the economy becomes more organized through concentrated networks and dependencies. Coordination does not disappear. It shifts into how the system is structured, and this creates a reinforcing dynamic. As the economy expands, efficiency increases. but so does dependency on global supply chains, specialized regions, and a few key institutions. The more interconnected the system becomes, the harder it is to replace or restructure. So the question becomes, if the system organizes itself this way, how easy is it to change? Over time, expansion and concentration begin to move together, especially in complex, late-cycle societies where economies are already large, interconnected, and difficult to restructure. This is where the shift in power becomes visible. On the political power ladder, direct control may appear reduced, but influence shifts toward large institutions and networks. On the monetary power ladder, financial systems deepen, and capital flows become central to keeping the economy stable. So power does not disappear, it becomes embedded in how the economy is organized. At this point, it helps to simplify what we are observing. An economic system defines how activity is organized. A policy framework defines how that system is managed. Together, they shape how the economy behaves over time. And when we look at neoliberal systems in practice, we see a clear pattern. Market expansion increases efficiency, but it also produces concentration. Globalization connects economies, but it also increases dependency. And as systems scale, coordination does not disappear. It becomes embedded in networks, institutions, and structures. So the question is not whether markets can expand. They can. The question is what that expansion turns the economy into over time. What kind of economy emerges when coordination is no longer directed but built into the structure itself? If you want to understand how these systems fit together, TNBC Explainers breaks down the core concepts one by one. Neoliberalism is part of TNBC Explainers Module 3, Economy, Money, and Financial Power. This is TNBC Explainers, understanding how the world actually works. In Part 1, we explored how perception and narratives shape behavior. In Part 2, how power is structured and exercised. And in Part 3, how economic and monetary systems interact. Together, they form a broader framework for understanding the societies we live in. For more, including the monetary and political power maps, visit thenextbigcycle.world. Explore the TNBC Explainers course via the YouTube course list, or visit thenextbigcycle.world for the full course overview and background. This is The Next Big Cycle, TNBC Explainers, your guide to understanding the systems shaping the world around you. TNBC Explainers is a growing YouTube course. New concepts are added over time.